Hi, I'm Frida Sten, and this is my book review of Night of Shadows by Kel Kade. This is the sixth book of the King's Dark Tidings series, not counting The Mage of No Renown. And yeah, just so you know, in case you didn't notice, I am pretty bad at talking to the camera. I do not like it. I find it kind of painful, actually. And so I am not going to do it. But don't worry, you will not have to watch a blank white screen all this time, because you will get to watch me draw one of my calligraphy rules. More specifically, rule number 233. Bear no identifying marks. Yes. Also, before we start, it is assumed that you've read all the previous books before watching this. The book starts from King Kade's perspective, with him telling Frisha and Thressen that Reskin is dead, just to make them miserable. He then goes off to do some evil demon experiment or something. Throughout all this, we get an overkill of paranoid thoughts from Kadean. He mentions that the voice warning him of betrayal has been with him since he was 6, long before the demon came. Back on the gang's side of things, there are rumors that Reskin is alive, and so to be certain that he's dead, they put together a team to visit his tomb. There are representatives from the countries in Reskin's empire, some main character warriors and mages, and Frisha. No, but almost. The Frisha golem wanted to come along. The other characters put a stop to that, because they remember that traveling with any kind of Frisha will lead to having to rescue a hostage. I think Frisha is one of the best things about this book compared to the others. I think it's pretty well known that most people hate Frisha, mainly because she's annoying and gets in the way. Well, in this book, she barely gets any page time, and the time she gets, she is as useful as it's possible for her to be, and she's not even annoying in my opinion. Frisha is better now because of 3 things. 1. Less time with her. 2. Because she's put in situations where she has to step up or die. And 3. Because we now know how much worse Frisha could have been. The Frisha golem is awful. She is basically a copy of Hilith Gadarand, a character I hated. She has been flirting with everyone to try and get information. When she wanted to come along on the tomb trip, she started flirting with Kai when they wouldn't let her come. It was so uncomfortable. I got secondhand embarrassment from it. I kept saying, make it stop, gross, make it stop, gross, ugh. But when Golem Frisha wasn't allowed to come, she said something interesting. I'm not so delicate. One day you'll see exactly what I can do. In that moment, I felt that it was foreshadowing how the real Frisha would act in this book. I know you think I'm as useful as a wet bag of fish, but I'll prove you wrong. I think the reason Frisha has been so useless is because there haven't been a use for her. Reskin and others have always been there to help her. In this book, we get to see how Frisha behaves when she has to save herself. But back to Reskin's grave. They quickly discover that Reskin's body is missing. We know that, of course, but what we didn't know was that the raven has left his mark on the tomb. Now, in this party, only 2 of them knows what Reskin's relationship to the Raven is. The rest think that the Raven has kidnapped Reskin's body for some reason. Assyria gets so mad that she vows to go hunt down the Raven and take back Reskin's body. I like this book a lot more than the last book, Dragons and Demons. Mostly because there's more Raven business. I also really like the title of this book, Night of Shadows. Because in this book, Reskin really acts like the Shadow Knight. This is where my spoiler-free part of this video ends. From now on, I will talk openly about all the things I liked about this book. And the things I didn't like too. Okay, so did anyone else think that the guy who helped Assyria because he wanted to marry Assyria was Reskin wearing an illusion? There was something about the way Assyria described him as average that set me off and thought there was something fishy about the whole thing. The guy who helped Frisha and Thressen did turn out to be Reskin, and I was so sure that he was a spy trying to steal crystals. Markham is back, but I was a bit disappointed that he had such a small role. When Reskin was sneaking around the duchy trying to find assassins and intimidate the dukes who didn't want to have an alliance with the Empire, of course. Chef kiss on that scene. I only wish that he talked with Markham too. I kind of wished he just sat down before a meeting, and when the rest came in, he'd be like, I heard you wanted to talk with the Emperor of the Cerulean, third son of King Borderan and Queen Lascivia of Ashai, true king of Ashai. Very Daenerys style. Don't tell me I can't dream. I did really enjoy the phone call between Tyrion and the Dukes. I mean, what can I say? I am a sucker for parents being proud of their children. More specifically, I'm a sucker for parents who have been disappointed in their children suddenly being proud of them. That is, so good. Tyrion has risen in my esteem. Him recognizing that Frisha wasn't acting like herself, him not wanting to marry her because she isn't the woman he fell in love with. I mean, I don't think I could have supported their union if that hadn't been the case. Speaking of unions and falling in love, Malcolm and Assyria! Turns out Malcolm was in love with Assyria the whole time. He didn't pursue her because of his duty to his house, and was very jealous of Pallas. He does not mind being married to Assyria, but wishes it had happened under different circumstances. Assyria is queen now. I can just imagine Malseus telling his father that he's married to the queen of Longlaresh. That would just be so funny, I think. Not sure how it's going to work after Khadean is dealt with, because, Malcolm is the only heir to House Jubai. And, yeah, obviously Issaria has to stay in Longlaresh. Are they supposed to do a long-distance relationship? Is one of them going to die? Are they just going to figure something else out? We'll see, I hope. Tam has gone missing again. When I heard that, I just groaned. I did not want another Tam rescue mission plot. As it turned out, Tam was kidnapped by the Fae and is being trained to become their general. I'm pretty happy with this. I feel like this was a setup book, with Reskin running around putting his pieces together. It was a lot better than Dragons and Demons, like I said, but I still had the feeling that so much had happened and yet so little. I never thought I'd get tired of Raven business, but I think Kel could have shortened those things slightly. I mean, when Frisha and Thressing came back to Kyle, there wasn't even a scene with him reuniting with his mother. I thought that there was too much action and too little character development. All in all, I really liked this book. It's not my favorite in the series. Actually, it's probably third to last for me. But that is because the standards are so high. I will anxiously wait for the next book to come out. Now I just want to take a moment to appreciate the enormous progress I've made with my rules. I've done things now that I would never have attempted to do before. And I love to see my progress.